Thank goodness you finally came to. How much sleep do you need? It's been a whole week. I was so worried about you.
If you wouldn't mind, I'd like you to guide me through it.
Give him strength! Take my life if you must!
When I thought I might never see you again, something else became clear to me. What I wanted most.
A controversial topic in the Persona community, to be sure. Does Atlus hint at canon relationships with the protagonists of Persona games, though? Some may need some copium for this, myself included. Let me just be clear, though. This is my interpretation on how Atlus portrays certain character interactions within the main story. Social links matter, of course, but what we're really going to be looking at are the exchanges with the protagonists that are unavoidable. The content used will be solely from the main games, thus none of the movies or various animation series will be taken into account. I am going to avoid Persona 1, Persona 2 Innocent Sin, and Persona 2 Eternal Punishment though, because even though there are some romantic scenes in those, it doesn't really make sense to me because there aren't actually any social links implemented yet. Persona 3 is first, and what we'll be discussing for this video. Plenty of unique and eccentric individuals in this title, with a storyline that makes you want to curl up at night. Out of the three games, Persona 3 has the least passionate romantic exchanges in my opinion. It almost seems platonic or cold at times, which can be attributed to the overall theme of the game. One of the love interests is also an android, but that shouldn't take away from the relationships built as the storyline progresses.
And so it begins.
Who's there?
Takeba, wait!
The protagonist, who is known as Makoto in the anime, is first introduced to Yukari Takeba upon arrival. An association with the lover's arcana and cheerful demeanor may give the player a false idea of what type of character Yukari is. In reality, Yukari is terrified of forming deep bonds with others due to the loss of her father and strained relationship with her mother. The protagonist is a rare exception, as he was an orphan, giving both characters a common tragedy to bond over.
I wanted to tell you that I'm sorta like you. My dad died in an accident when I was little. My mom and I aren't exactly on good terms. You're all alone too, right? To be honest, I already know about your past. But it didn't seem fair, so I wanted you to know about mine.
Further into the story, the protagonist and Yukari have a special scene together that isn't related to the eventual social link. So what I mean by that is it's a forced story scene that is unavoidable. The fact this encounter is on rails and unavoidable shows how close the two have become over time.
Remember what I told you at the hospital? How my dad died when I was little? You understand now, right? He died in that incident. Nobody knew the truth, so there were all sorts of rumors. Because he was in charge of the research team, people were really mean to me and my mom. We even had to move a few times. Yeah. But all this time, I kept telling myself it wasn't his fault. I loved him a lot, and I believed he'd never do anything wrong. I received a letter back in the spring. It was from him, written 10 years ago. It cracked me up, because even though it said to my family, it was pretty much all about me. That only made me believe in him more. When I found out I had a special power, I thought it was fate. I was scared. But I thought if I cooperated with the Kirijo group, I might find out what really happened. That's why I agreed to fight using my persona. But it turns out, all of that was for nothing. You're just trying to make me feel better. Why does reality have to be so harsh? I tried so hard to fight my fear, and this is what I get. Maybe I'm just jealous of Mitsuru senpai. I mean, why my father and not hers? I'm a horrible person, aren't I? Huh, well you're just Mr. Perfect. Nothing ever phases you. And now you've got the nerve to try and tell me how to feel? You think you know me? You don't know anything. I'm sorry. My head's a mess. I'm so afraid. I don't know what to do anymore. I'm totally lost. Tell me, what should I do? Huh? You know, you really are one of a kind. I'm sorry for acting like this. You've lost your parents too, but I'm alright now. I'm used to dealing with stressful situations. Anyway, thanks for listening. Let me guess. Senpai asked you to bring me back, right? Ooh, you're such a gentleman. Thanks.
Yukari continues to hold a close bond to the protagonist during the main story until the end of the journey. Now we're going to talk about how Yukari acts in the answer. I don't personally like the answer, but there's some parts to it which show how the characters change after the protagonist's sacrifice. It's also technically canon, so we kind of have to talk about it even a tiny bit. So Yukari specifically has become absolutely tormented with the sudden death. She appears to take it harder than most of C's, but that also could be attributed to her passionate personality. I spent a lot of time on Yukari in this video, and for good reason. She's one of my top picks as a canonical waifu to the Persona 3 protagonist. Mitsuru Kiricho is met shortly after, a complete polar opposite to Yukari with mature and strict mannerisms. A perfect fit for the Empress Arcana she represents. However, she's even more closed off than Yukari somehow, simply for different reasons though. Mitsuru and the protagonist keep a somewhat professional relationship throughout most of the story, unless the player of course decides to pursue her romantically during the social link. During my first playthrough of Persona 3, I was actually intent on romancing Mitsuru. However, I got the feeling that her and Akihiko just made more sense. Sure, nothing happened. With this being said, it's my opinion that Mitsuru is not the canonical waifu for the protagonist.
Kind of funny if you think about it. This is Mitsuru we're talking about. If she finds us, she'll... What? She'll what? She'll execute us.
A minor character in the game, but still relevant, is Chihiro Fushimi, the Fortune Arcana. Some of you may recognize her from Persona 4 when the investigation team visits Tatsumi Port.
Thank you, Principal. Welcome to Gekko-kan High School. My name is Chihiro Fushimi. I'm a third-year student and the student council president here at Gekko-kan. It's an honor to meet you all today.
Chihiro is a tad meek and shy, which made her social link of learning to stand up for herself very rewarding. She was my first maxed out Arcana in my playthrough, but it's hard for me to say that she's the canonical waifu of Persona 3 for the protagonist. Still a very good character though.
You guys, stop overreacting. This is the first time our school has invited another student body for a true cultural exchange. To learn about others is to learn about oneself, and is the first step on the road to self-betterment. This I believe.
An even more minor character is Yuko Nishiwaki, the Strength Arcana. I'm gonna be completely honest, completely forgot this person even existed. I believe there's a choice between her and Kazushi, but I'm not sure. There might be one or two people who pursued a romance with her, but it's a small amount. A fan favorite, which I share as well, is Isako Toriumi, better known as Miss Toriumi, or even probably better known as Maya. She acts as the Hermit Arcana, and has an online personality very different from her in-person one. With many references to Persona 2, the protagonist unknowingly helps Miss Toriumi learn about herself, and was one of the absolute best ending scenes to a social link in the series. It's so perfect. It's so good. As well, there are points during the social link where Miss Toriumi reveals her crush on the protagonist, which was very wholesome. Unfortunately, Miss Toriumi isn't canonical waifu material for me, even though she's an excellent character in the game.
You know, we're not trying to pressure you, so if you need some time to think about it... I'll do it.
Oh my god, that sprite again.
I'll help you.
It's so bad. Not my favorite character and definitely not my favorite voice actor. Fuuka is still very relevant to the game, however, and she represents the Priestess Arcana and the Navigator. Somehow more shy and timid than even Chihiro, Fuuka joins Seize later on in the story. She doesn't have a lot of one-on-one interactions with the protagonist throughout the story, and her social link is based on improving her cooking skills for the most part. Keeping this in mind, I don't see Fuuka as a canonical waifu for the protagonist, and I think most people would agree with me. Now, the true contender. We are all very familiar with this special individual. The one, the only, I think we meant Aigis, also known as Ai-chan, Strange Girl, Sister, and the Heartless Armed Angel, the ultimate contender for the spot in the protagonist's heart.
Good morning. Please wake up. Mission accomplished. It has not triggered yet. The paper on the wall says, do things 5 minutes early. Therefore, I woke you up 5 minutes in advance.
Hey, are you awake? That girl disappeared, and we can't find her anywhere. Think you can help us out? She might have gone out on her own, like she did in Yakushima.
I am not a girl. I am Aigis, and I am here.
Huh? Aigis, how did you...
He was asleep, so I unlocked the door.
That's unlawful entry. Didn't we tell you to stay in the command room at night?
I propose to be on standby in this room from now on. Is this acceptable?
What? No, it's not acceptable.
If there is a problem, then I will address it promptly.
The problem is, it's against dorm regulations. Well, don't just sit there. Tell her.
No. She can stay here.
Hey! Don't say that. You know she can't stay with you. All right, I'll have a room prepared for you on the 3rd floor. You can stay there. Oh, and don't leave the dorm by yourself, okay?
I will do as commanded.
I'm tired. I have practice this morning, so I gotta go.
Everyone goes to a place called school in the morning. I comprehend.
So, this is gonna be a long explanation. Let's begin. Aigis is an android, also known as an anti-shadow suppression weapon. The protagonist and Seize first meet her during their trip to Yakushima, midway through the game. The first interaction we have with her is a hilarious scene of Junpei, Akihiko, and the protagonist attempting to flirt with Aigis. Doesn't really go too well.
Talk about saving the best for last. Now that's what I'm talking about. Man, she's cute. I agree. This is our last chance to make up for failures. But this time we should try one by one instead of all together. We'll have a better shot that way. Sounds like a good plan. All right, then let's decide the order. We'll go clockwise, starting with the winner. Ready? Rock, paper, scissors.
What?
Yeah! I win. Okay, I'll go first. Akihiko-san will go second, and you'll go last.
Yeah, I'm sure this chick won't be freaked out by 3 dudes hitting on her one after the other.
I'm up. Wish me luck. Hey, how's it going? I noticed you've been, staring at the ocean. So, do you come here often? My name's Junpei.
Junpei?
It's a weird name.
Don't worry, I just want to talk. I mean, it's more fun than standing here all by yourself, isn't it?
I am looking for a human.
Oh, yeah?
You are not the one.
Wait a second. This was the person staring at me. I'm the one.
Wow, he got shot down faster than I expected.
She like an alien?
She's a tough one, senpai.
Don't worry about me. Wow, hello there. Say, do you like the ocean?
Is your question directed at me?
Sounds like the Protoss announcer.
Oh, yeah. I like the ocean too. Hey, I heard that triathletes who train at the beach perform better than those who practice indoors. Makes sense, doesn't it?
Wow, he's actually having a conversation with her. Although something's not right.
That type of information is irrelevant to me.
I won. I talked to her longer than you did.
It doesn't matter how long you talk to her. Ugh, this sucks.
Hey, stop crying. You're making me feel bad.
So, that's our status. If you can't pull this off, I'm gonna be traumatized for the rest of my life.
We're on the ropes, but it's not over yet. It's all up to you now.
I couldn't hear what he said, but she looked surprised. We should go over there.
You are... Initiating evasive maneuver. Confirmation must be made at a secure location.
Oh, you fuckers.
Hey, what did you say to make her run away like that? Well, what are you waiting for? Go after her! Go tell her you're sorry! If you don't, we'll all be in trouble. Go on, man! You can catch her if you hurry.
Aigis joins C's and enrolls in Gekkokan to act as a bodyguard for the protagonist, you could say. An almost instinctive interest to protect the protagonist is evident, even though there's no clear directive in her programming, or none that Itsuki ever mentioned. Aigis over time starts to develop human traits as she questions her existence, human lives, and how she fits into the world. I like to conjecture, and this is a strong conjecture, that a large part of this development is due to her constant presence with the protagonist, who for the most part acts as a good human being, I would say. This character arc is brought to a screeching halt later on though, as Ikutsuki reprograms Aigis to sacrifice C's for the Death Arcana. Aigis forcefully denies this reprogramming though, because she can't bear to kill the protagonist.
Father. Father!
Aigis, we will end this. Execute the sacrifices now.
Damn it, snap out of it!
Finish them, Aigis! What the? Damn it, you defective machine! I'll do it myself. What the?
Kurumaru!
You don't get it, do you? This useless, pathetic world will gradually fester over time. Only its destruction can bring about its salvation. And then, at long last, I will rule over the new world. I was so close.
It's later discovered that this sense of protection is due to a past encounter with the protagonist 10 years ago. Aigis had sealed the Death Arcana within the protagonist as a way to subvert Nyx. The first time I found this out, I was pretty sad. The idea that the instinctive protection Aigis had wasn't fully romantic left me feeling a little bit empty. After the battle with Ryoji and her eventual repair, Aigis awakens to her new persona and develops strong human feelings. She's still aware that her body will be always mechanical, which causes self-doubt and a little bit of an identity crisis. At this point, Aigis has evolved past her mechanical self and is fully aware of her unconditional love for the protagonist. This is never said outright, but it's my view that Aigis' feelings for the protagonist at this point aren't solely to do with sealing death inside him. She's created human feelings for herself, and thus it makes sense to me personally that she sees him as more than just her original programming.
Recovery, but I had the process expedited. Tomorrow is New Year's Eve.
I'm sorry for all the trouble I've caused. Mitsuru-san visited me at the lab and told me everything. That must have been difficult for you all to hear. Have you been well? I mean, considering the circumstances. I'm sorry. It's because I wasn't strong enough. 10 years ago, what I did to you was... But if I hadn't done that to you, you wouldn't be suffering like this. Ryoji has presented you with a difficult choice. Have you made your decision? I have a favor to ask of you. Tomorrow, when Ryoji comes, please kill him. I can't bear to see everyone hurting like this. Please choose to have your memories erased, even if it means forgetting everything and everyone.
Aigis, what are you talking about?
Yeah, this isn't like you.
What's wrong, Aigis?
Why? Why did I come back here? My mission is to protect humanity from shadows. But now I know that I can't defeat them. So then, why am I here? I'm useless. I cannot even shed a tear for you all.
Oh, Aigis.
Why fight when you know that you can't win? What is the purpose of that? Why are you wasting your lives?
We're not wasting our lives. We're just planning for the future. Right, Ken?
right.
I don't understand. It must be because I don't possess a life.
This has nothing to do with having a life.
I'm a machine. A machine that was created to protect humans from shadows. But I can't fulfill that mission with the powers I was given. So then, what is my purpose now? Could someone please tell me?
We don't know the answer, Aigis. The only one who can tell you what your purpose is you. That's why we're having such a hard time making our decision. There's just no easy answer. But as long as we're alive, we have to do something. When we see others hurting, we want to help them. So that's our purpose.
Can finding one's purpose really be so simple?
When I saw you collapse, I realized something. I want to protect you. I don't want to forget about you.
Fuuka-san.
There are times when you will lose sight of your goal, and you will have to search for it. But if you can't find it again, then you must set your heart on a new goal. To truly live, you will need to make changes sometimes.
Do you think I can do that? Do you think I can change?
Yes. I mean, you've changed so much already. Haven't you noticed? In fact, you're changing even as we speak.
I know what my purpose is. I'm a machine who is here to live. And the one who has given me this new purpose is me.
Aigis.
This is the promise I've made to myself. I don't know how I'll do it, but I guess that is part of living too. Will you allow me to join with you all?
Of course! You've always been one of us.
Thank you. I will be with you all, no matter what happens.
Oh yeah. Ooh, Athena. Aigis' resolve is solid, and she works with C's to bring down Nyx, leading to the scene of my nightmares.
Thank you. You're right. What am I doing? I understand now. So I should be happy.
Taking all this into consideration, along with her main role in the answer, Aigis is a very, very prominent character to be considered for the protagonist's canonical waifu. Oh, you thought I forgot someone. I can already taste the molding about missing this one. Nah, I want to save her for last. My favorite Velvet Room attendant, after all.
Ah, yes. An intimate encounter with one of your world's rarities. This must be a fountain.
A resident of the Velvet Room and aide to the protagonist along his journey is Elizabeth, commonly known as Liz, a cheerful and silly girl who has optional activities with the protagonist, should the player decide to pursue them. These requests, or you could call them, are cute and encompass activities that take place in Tatsumi Port Island. Liz becomes more enamored and interested in the protagonist as his requests are completed, until the very end where she confesses her love to him. However, she has a little bit of a self-cuck moment by denying herself a possible relationship due to her Velvet Room responsibility. It's pretty obvious though how much this pains her.
By touching you like this, I can have that all for myself. I'll put it more plainly. I'm naive to the ways of your world, and there must have been many times I seemed to act quite strangely. However, Even I am not blind to the significance of calling upon a gentleman in his own room. If you wouldn't mind, I'd like you to guide me through it.
Whoa, what? Yeah, okay. Chat MC.
Thank you.
Woohoo! I mean, we're gonna die anyway, right? Fuck it.
I feel like a completely different person than the Elizabeth who first stepped into your world. If I stay on this side any longer, I fear I will forget my duties entirely, and that would put you at a severe disadvantage, wouldn't it? That is why I'll draw a line under my visits here and remain on my side from now on. Thank you very much for acting as a guide on my journey of discovery. I'm very grateful. Now then, though the sorrow may be sweet, let us part.
Sadly, Atlus decided not to have any moments at the end of the game involving Liz and the protagonist, because as I've said, I truly enjoy her as a character. Interestingly enough, Liz is mentioned significantly in later Persona entries, such as 4 and Arena, where Margaret details that Liz abandoned the Velvet Room. We learn the reason is her interest in bringing back the protagonist from his fate as a seal. This sort of devotion is significant and shouldn't be taken lightly when we think about who should be the canonical waifu to the protagonist. Well, that's it. We've gone over all the romance options in Persona 3. It's not a very long list, but 2 or 3 of the contenders makes this more difficult than I first imagined. Taking everything into consideration, I personally feel that Aigis is the canonical waifu of the Persona 3 protagonist.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Yeah, boo all you want. Some people are gonna disagree, and I welcome that because it wasn't an easy choice by any means. It's safe to say that it comes down to Yukari, Liz, and Aigis, for me personally. Honestly, it's really close, but I feel Aigis has a slight edge. Believe it or not, I actually thought hard about this, and even went back to a lot of my old videos to see how I first reacted to certain scenes. I know some people, like I said, are going to be very upset with this. If I'm being dreadfully honest, I think it comes, Aigis is first, and then Liz is second, right? But Yukari is a very, very close third. And I think a big part of Yukari was, you know, she's like the first girl you meet, and I would like to talk about her more because I think she is, what's the word? Underrated companion of the series. This was fun to analyze and reminds myself why I enjoyed Persona 3 so much. Makes me want to replay it almost. Maybe if Atlus remade it, or at least remastered it. Whatever. We have Ultimax coming up, which is nice. I appreciate everyone watching, and look forward to the second part of the series where we talk about Persona 4. Ooh, spooky Persona 4. That's actually a really easy one. But I'll try and be somewhat unbiased, but let's be honest. Persona 4 probably has the most canonical waifu in the game. Ooh, I can already tell people are gonna be annoyed about that. Alrighty guys, thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you like these, where I just go back and analyze things and make them a little bit more tidy. Yeah, hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you for whatever I make next. Toodles! Double up a dead road cheddar. L to the J, say stay laced, here's my call, me, royal flush, and I'm the ace.